All right, folks, welcome to another edition of Krokus. This is our fourth episode in the series here as we go through the catalog of Krokus album by album. And of course, joining me once again is my partner for this Krokus series from Slogans, Rock and Metal Extravaganza, Sidney.
Hey
Welcome.
Joey, how's it going? Glad to be
Good.
here.
All right, so we're up to probably what I feel album number 7 and 8. I feel this is probably the biggest albums of their career by far. So this episode should be really good, especially for people who might not be too familiar with Krokus. Pay attention to these albums that we're going to discuss and talk about here because these ones really help put this band on the map and keep them there for a while at least until everything else
A year or
afterwards
so.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's start digging right in. We are going to discuss first the big album. And when I say the big album, what am I talking about? I'm talking about Headhunter. All right. So Headhunter is just a great album from top to bottom. So I'm going to give you the quick skinny on the album, and then you're going to go ahead and take over. So it's the seventh studio album, and it came out and saw the light of day on April the 25th, 1983. Arista Records, produced by Tom Allum. And this
Big
album peaked,
name.
yeah, this album peaked at number 25 on the US charts, number 31 in Canada, and it made a gold certification in the US. And go ahead and take her away. Give us the track listing and
Yep.
then start telling us all about it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it was recorded at the BJ Studios, Orlando, Florida. I don't know where that is, but yeah. Like you said, April 25th. And yeah, the album cover too is cool with the whole skull and that's probably their best artwork. They did have some pretty good artwork here and there. That one's
Mhm.
probably the coolest. Yeah, it's probably a bit cheesy really, but I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, this was the only album to have Steve Pace. I don't know if that's how he actually pronounced it, if it's Pache or Pace. I don't know how he says his last name. I just say Steve Pace. I don't know if it's different pronunciation, but yeah, he's the only one that he's the only album that he played on. But yeah, he still had Marc Storace was still there, obviously Fernando Von Arp, Mark Kohler, Chris Von Raar, and then Steve Pace. And then you got Rob Halford actually doing backing vocals on Ready to Burn, Jimmy Jameson doing backing on Screaming in the Night. So yeah, and like you said, Tom Allum, of who's worked with like Sabbath, Priest, Leopard, Kicks, Rough Cut. There's Straubs. There's like a long list of people that he's, and even like lesser bands too. So he's worked with tons of people. So they got a pretty big name for this one, and it worked because to me this is yeah. So yeah, we got Headhunter started off with yeah. To me this is probably one of the this actually gave me an idea for a show on my channel because it's I thought of it from listening to this song. To me, it's like one of the greatest title tracks to ever open an album. So that kind of gave me an idea to do a show like album title tracks that open kick off the album because it's such a great song. And yeah, it's the in your face heavy metal song. I think it's probably the heaviest song they ever did. Could easily have been an Accept song. I kind of hear that in a little bit in that, with the it sounds like the Accept stuff of the time. Lyrics are yeah, the lyrics are really cheesy, but Krokus was kind of known for interesting lyrics at times. This heavy song, and you hear the lyrics, and like really, the sex and drugs and rock and roll in a song like this heavy. It's kind of weird, but yeah, great heavy song, and yeah, doesn't matter because the lyrics are cheesy because the music is awesome. Mark sounds amazing. The riffs are heavy. The bass and drums are just pounding. Guitar solo is awesome. Mark does some great screams at the end. Oh, and at the end of this, and just when like you think the song is over, like just kind of you think it's done, and then out of nowhere the drums and vocals kick back and he screams Headhunter one more time. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, just such a great high energy song to kick off the album. Yeah, so right off the bat, you're just like, okay, this is how you start an album. So yeah, for me, this is probably like the greatest, like maybe if not the great, yeah, probably one of the greatest title tracks ever to open an album, anyways. Because there's Trying to look at it, there's not that many title tracks that actually start off the album that are this strong. But this is definitely one of them. So yeah, then that goes to Eat the Rich. This is like their party rocker. This is kind of, I guess, the AC/DC thing here, but great high energy, like mid tempo song, very catchy, sticks in your head, especially the chorus. There's like a cool section before the guitar solo where Mark sings the line "Don't Stop Me," which is obviously a tribute to like Highway to Hell because it's Bond does that before the solo in there. And yeah, the drums and bass take a little bit of a solo at one point before kicking into the guitar solo, which is really fun and catchy. And there's even like a really cool music video of them. Really cheesy, kind of screams a little bit Manowar. The music video of how they're dressed and they're kind of like in this desert, and it kind of screams Manowar with the way, yeah. But it's a great, cool, fun seeing them have fun in this music video to go along with a really great song. And then yeah, then we get to "Screaming in the Night," which again, this also has a music video, and you can tell it was filmed at the exact same location where they seems like they just probably filmed these back to back or at the same time. It's in the same area and it's all the same scenery and everything. But as for the song itself, yeah, great ballad. This is just such a strong song, and I'm not generally a ballad guy, but this song is amazing. It's really shows off his vocals on this. The music is great. I think it's as good as any of like the ballads that Scorpions were doing at the time. I think it's just it's up there with those. Like it's just a great, memorable song with just melodic singing and guitar playing. Just yeah, that's a highlight. Then "Ready to Burn" again, fast, up tempo AC/DC style rocker that starts off a little bit like there's a little bit of a Mr. 69 thing from Hardware going on at the very beginning. They kind of have the same melody, but then it doesn't really go back to that again. But yeah, it's still a great song to transition to after the ballad before it. Just a good, fun rocker. And that was, I think, the one I believe that had Rob doing backing vocals on it. And then yeah, again, Night Wolf. It's another heavy metal song that's also very catchy. Again, cheesy lyrics, but the music is so great that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't bother me. Full on metal attack with just really fast, steady rhythm section and just a blazing guitar solo. And as always, Mark sounds great. Just an amazing song there. Stayed Awake All Night. Yeah, this is like a cover of Bachman Turner Overdrive. And it's funny because I love that band, and for whatever I didn't realize it was even a cover.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of their more deeper cuts. Now I know, and I love the original. I mean, I think they do a great version. I still prefer the original personally after going and actually listening to that. But I do give them a lot of credit for not just taking like I don't know, taking care of business if you're going to cover a BTO. They took at least something that's a little bit more obscure by a popular band to make it their own instead of just doing a typical like hit song as a cover. But yeah, Mark has the perfect voice for it as well because it suits his voice. As it's got the great voice for it and has those very aggressive vocals like the original does. So that's actually a really well done cover because it's one of those ones where most people probably didn't realize it was a cover at the time. I mean, unless you looked at it and you saw Randy Bachman, right, or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, Stand and Be Counted. This song is the one a little bit, I guess, if you could call a weak point. To me, it's the weaker song. It's not a terrible song, just kind of a little bit more on the generic side. The guitar solo was fun though, but aside from that, song doesn't change much. A bit repetitive, but not a horrible song. Just everything else on this is just amazing. White Din, not really much to talk about because it's more just like an intro than a song. Kind of like an intro that goes into the next one. It's not much to say about it. It sounds really cool though because it's done with like these weird guitar sounds, but it sounds actually really cool though for like this short little intro piece, which goes into Russian Winter, which to me this is just a metal classic, just a great way to end the album. And Marcus always sounds amazing. Chorus is catchy. Guitar solo goes on for about 40 seconds, and it's great. It's very memorable, melodic while still being very fast. Probably my favorite song on the album, maybe, which is great since it's the last one you hear. So yeah, it's a strong ending to a very, to me, this is like an 80s classic. Very close to being perfect. Stand and Be kind of drops it just a little bit for me from being perfect, but I'd give it a solid 9.5 out of 10. So it's right there for me. So
All right.
yeah,
Wow. All right. 9.5. Wow.
I think that's might be the
That's
highest.
high
No, I think I had a
praise.
10 already with Metal Rendezvous, but yeah.
Well, I'd say on this album here, a couple of things that I had for it were definitely they go out and they get Tom Allen to come in here. And obviously if people know who he is, he's the guy that produced many, many, many
Yeah.
albums from Judas Priest, and yeah, it's just I think he brought a harder edge. He made some things just stand. The production on the album is reminiscent to,
Yeah.
the type of work that
Oh
Priest
yeah.
does. So I feel that he
Yeah.
definitely brought and it's amazing with Krokus. I mean, I think almost on most of their albums after, they've always had different producers. So it's
Yeah.
just, and it's interesting that this was the surprisingly how they got such great results. I
Yeah.
was just kind of surprised that they didn't really do, they never did another album with them. And Tom Allen, for others who are not familiar with him, obviously we just mentioned he did Priest, but that was the band he probably worked with the most out of all the bands he
Right.
produced. But he's also produced. He started off as a sound engineer, working on some of the first Genesis album from Genesis to
Oh yeah. Great.
Revelation,
Yep.
and he also did the Black Sabbath albums, Black Sabbath, Paranoid, and Master Reality. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he engineered those. Then he started going into the production side of things more as the lead producer, and he did, looks like a live album from Pat Travers,
Wow.
and
Okay.
he did On Through the Night by Def Leppard.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. These are
Um,
great.
yeah, Y&T and Rock We Trust, Rough Cut, the debut. Loverboy's loving every minute of it, which is kind of
That's
soft for him.
that's probably their heaviest album though. That's probably their most rocking
Eh,
album for Loverboy. Like,
possibly, yeah. But he didn't really do it's just amazing that he just has never did another Krokus album because I would have liked to see
that's strange.
how he would have done with the follow-up. Well, I guess he was just too busy with Priest because you got to remember they were whipping out albums left and right. 81,
84.
Point of Entry,
Yeah.
Screaming for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith, Turbo, the
Yeah.
live album, Ram It Down. So he was busy right up until,
Yeah.
so he probably just wasn't available for Krokus at that point because
Maybe. Yeah.
he was busy doing Defenders of the Faith, which is another great album that,
Yeah.
yeah, for Priest. So, yeah, so definitely I thought the production, bringing him in definitely was the key to the success of this album. And then on top of that,
Yeah.
now you get Steve Pace. Now, this is something we haven't really mentioned. Steve Pace, this is the only album this guy has ever played on of Crocus's,
His
but
drumming's amazing.
he started off as as founding member of Hydra, which was a Southern rock band.
He was the drummer of that band. I love that band. Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't realize that was where he was from. Wow.
from the 70s. Yeah, they only made
Oh
three
wow.
albums, but that was where he pretty much got
Okay.
his came to fame,
Oh wow.
became known as. So he's over the years he's done a lot of other things, but nothing quite
Yeah.
as big. This is I always assume this album here, is his
Yeah.
highlight. And man, yeah, what a great drumming performance on this album.
Wow.
I mean, stellar,
Yeah.
A couple other notes, obviously, Rob Halford, we mentioned, I guess,
Mhm.
the Priest tie-in here. He did
Yep.
the backing vocals here on Ready to Burn. And then Survivor, Jimmy
Yep.
Jamison sang backing vocals on the big song, Screaming in the Night. So, yeah, pretty interesting, how they got these guys to come in and they really helped enhance the album and the songs and really brought this album to fruition here. So I'm picking for my favorite song on this album. I have to go with the song that I heard first that I really liked off this album that got me into this album and that's Eat the Rich. They used to play it on our metal shop here in the States in
Oh
Buffalo, and I've always loved that song. And Screaming in the Night, what can be said about that one? That's probably one of the best top rock ballads of all time.
yeah.
That it gets so much recognition, still played widespread airplay even today in this day and age on classic rock radio and Hair Nation radio and all that kind of good stuff. And just like you mentioned about the Stayed Awake All Night, I never would have known that was a cover myself back then. They
No.
they would play that one live on this tour and everything too, so it was pretty cool. Um, I had like they had did some like live concerts on the radio. They would play Crocus, and then that was one of the songs that they would play during the live concert. It was like one of those 60 minutes with or whatever, where
Okay, yeah.
they would pick them on like a Friday or Saturday night and just play like a live concert right on the air. So kind of like a King Biscuit Flower Hour type thing. So I remember hearing that one on there, and yeah, that's when they were really hitting it big there. And of course they landed the big spot on Pyromania tour.
Oh, yeah, that
But
should have broken them huge. They
that's
should have
a
been like worldwide famous doing that tour. Like I don't know what the
well,
hell
there was all kinds of issues with Def Leppard. That was the
Oh,
problem.
okay.
If you go back and do the research on it, yeah, there was a lot of problems between the two bands, and
Oh, they didn't get along. Yeah.
yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I thought Krokus got booted off that tour, if I'm not
Oh wow.
mistaken. They played Buffalo, I remember that. And then I remember reading
Yeah.
about how there was a lot of problems on that Pyromania tour. I'm just trying to see what I could find out about it real quick here, but that was kind of what led to the downfall.
Well, then
You know,
everyone knows the Twisted Sister story with with those
yeah,
guys as well. That's
yeah, I
another
mean,
one.
obviously, I think,
Yeah.
that's landing that tour, they should have definitely cracked platinum status on this album because that's how
Yeah.
strong this album is.
Yeah.
But the only
Gold to
thing
me is crazy that it only went gold. Like that's
Yeah, I think the hard part about the album, it starts off great. The first four, five, six songs really good, and then it kind of peters out near the end, so
mm,
kind of. And that's one of the gripes that people, if you ever get a chance to talk to people or
okay.
check out
Really.
reviews, that's kind of where it kind of goes. But those other songs definitely, the good songs really push this album over the top. I mean, and you
Yeah.
can't take away from them, that's for sure. So yeah, so that's what I got for this album. Ether Rich, my favorite, and so that'll give me. I would say you gave it a 9.5. I'll go nine. I'll
Nice.
go a 9.0.
Yeah, it's a strong album.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, and that's going to take us into its follow-up, and that's the Blitz.
Mm,
The eighth studio album from the band came out August 22nd, 1984. Arista Records. And once again, they bring in a new producer, Bruce Fairbairn, who
Yeah.
obviously at this point, he's starting to become a well-known commodity in the music world. And this album, like we said, came out in '84. So this was a couple years before Slippery When Wet came out, and that was his real big
Yeah.
breakthrough. So this was one of the albums he did leading up to that one as well. He did Black and Blue. He did their album as well, Without Love.
Mhm.
And those albums were good, but they just didn't get the accolades. And then of course he hit gold with Bon Jovi with Slippery When
Yeah.
Wet.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the producer on it, the engineer, I'm sorry, on this album, Bob Rock of Metallica
Yeah.
fame. So yeah, they had some heavyweights on this one, but it was a letdown a little bit because it only reached number 31 in the US, so they dropped 6 spots there.
Oh.
Canada really took a hit, number 83 compared to number 31 of Headhunter. Did go gold in the US, so that stayed the same. Um, but yeah, so I think it's a strong follow-up. We're gonna see what you have to say about it
Oh boy. I
as you
have
as
strong disagreements, but
as
yeah.
you introduce this album and tell us about the tracks and everything.
Okay. But yeah, like you said, mentioned Bruce Fairbairn. Again, he's Canadian, so was Bob Rock. So they actually did record this at Little Mountain Studio in Vancouver, which is famous studio where Aerosmith, Bon Jovi, AC/DC, Metallica, Bryan Adams, Motley Crue, David Lee Roth,
Yeah.
Loverboy, Dan Reed Network, and The Cult. I mean, there's as many others, but yeah, tons of people. Yeah, tons of people recorded there. And Bryan Adams had the big album Reckless that was recorded there. And there's a Bryan Adams, Jim Valance written song on here, co-wrote with the band, and that was originally supposed to be on Reckless. That they did end up re-releasing years later on a reissue, but it ended up on here instead. So yeah, so it starts off with where's my note? Okay. So yeah, oh yeah, so in the band now instead same lineup except you got Jeff Clavin on drums instead of Steve. So and Jimmy Jameson again backing vocals on Our Love actually. And yeah. And even yeah, one of the assistant engineers is actually Mike Frazier, who did Razor's Edge for AC/DC, Ball Breaker, Stiff Upper Lip, Black Ice, Rocker Bust, and Power Ups, all the later stuff. Yeah, I did Aerosmith, Pump, and Permanent Vacation. Done a lot of other things as well. So they really brought in like all these like big name like Canadians in the industry. And then even mastering by George Marino, who's seen his name on a lot of things too.
Oh
So they
yeah.
work with a lot of big name people. These are just names that you see all the time. Like so, yeah. And then Doug Johnson on keyboards, who's the keyboard player from Loverboy, actually. So there you go. There's the Bruce was bringing in his connections, I guess. So yeah. So we got Midnight Maniac, probably their most well-known song, I would say. Yeah, it's a made-for-radio up-tempo rocker with a really catchy riff throughout, memorable bridge and chorus. I think just because of the lyrics, it could have been a theme song to a horror movie like that came out at the time, like easily. Like I could hear this playing in like some cheesy slasher movie while someone's getting killed or whatever. I could totally see it. Like
Trick or treat.
yeah, like just in a total like cheesy 80s slasher. Like, even one of the Friday movies maybe could just yeah. Music videos really fun to watch as well. Their music videos were always kind of cheesy but fun, and you kind of enjoy watching them. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is actually a strong song to start the album off. And then we get to Out of Control. For me, this is a hidden gem in their catalog, though. Just yeah, fast, catchy heavy metal song. Great chorus. There's some gang vocals in there, but it's done well and it's not over the top or overproduced. Just a great guitar solo on this one as well. High energy song and the highlight of the album for me. I just think yeah, I think that's a classic song and just not one that ever gets mentioned ever. And then we get to Boys Night Out, which is the song that was supposed to be on Reckless for Bryan Adams, and then for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, and then so they end up recording it instead. Not a terrible song, but just seems kind of basic. Seems like a lot of other stuff that was coming around at the time. Like the mid-tempo rocker with the strong bridge where Mark sings that line "Never surrender, go all the way." I think that's a cool part of the song. Chorus is a little bit too generic, just saying "Boys Night Out" a bunch of times. Doesn't really do too much for me. The chorus does have a good guitar solo though, that starts off with these motorcycle noises in the background. To me, the solo is like the highlight of the of the song for me though. I can see how this was supposed to be a Bryan Adams song though. Kind of likely would have probably been a big hit had he put it on his album. But because that whole Reckless album did well, so he probably would have had a hit with that had he actually recorded it back then. But yeah, Our Love. See, this is just another one that doesn't do much for me. Main riff is okay, chorus is fun, song doesn't change much enough for me, and I just found a little bit like Hysteria era Def Leppard, which I'm not too crazy about. Again, the guitar solo is the highlight of the song for me, and even that is not really one of the more memorable solos. It's all right, but it almost seems like filler. Um, Out to Lunch, again, another song, just doesn't do it for me aside from the guitar solo. Find that just a lot of this album, I'm just kind of like waiting for the guitar solo to kick in, as the rest of the song is just not too memorable. I think they were doing like a lot of these just mid. This is where they were starting to do the whole just mid-tempo AC/DC songs for the most part, especially on this. So that's that kind of where people say, "Oh, they just sound like AC/DC," was maybe because of this album. I don't know. And Ballroom Bliss. See, this is a song that I what did I? This is I spelling this down on what I put here. This is not. Oh, okay. This is not a song I ever really care for when it's covered, as the original by Swedes is like one of my favorite hit songs of the '70s, and they're just one of my favorite bands in general. I mean, they do a decent job of making it fit their style and sound. And they change it. They don't just directly copy it. I just don't. For me, it doesn't improve on the original at all. Like I don't mind cover songs, but I prefer when they pick like something more original to cover, like they did with "Stayed Awake All Night." Like to me, that's how you do a cover. I just find it, and they kind of weird that they would name the album after a cover song. Obviously, they couldn't call the album Ballroom Blitz because they get sued probably. But yeah, just kind of weird that they named the album after a cover song too. It's not a bad version, just I don't find it an improvement on the original, and I would have preferred something more an original song instead of that, or a different cover song that was a bit more yeah obscure or something. But and then yeah, Rock the Nation, another song where I'm just waiting for the guitar solo as I find it very generic, but I think it's the best of these kind of type of songs. Now, Hot Stuff though, I really like this song. It's not really a ballad, it's not heavy, it's just kind of like this kind of has a dark melody to it. I think the guitar solo though is like one of the best on the album. And yeah, I think that's a great song and a return to form for me after all these songs that I wasn't all that crazy about. But then for me, it closes on Ready to Rock, which I think is the weakest song on the album. It's a shame because it's the album closer. I just find I forget what it sounds like after listening to it. Just nothing really sticks in my head for it after a few listens. Again, aside from the solo. But the thing, the solos on this album are great, but the rest of the song, I'm just wanting more because I thought the album before this was so amazing. And this just kind of goes back to the whole a little bit overproduced hysteria thing to me on this song. But I just for me, I think it was Krokus really trying hard to make a commercial album, bringing in Bruce, who produced like a ton of. Well, he didn't really do that yet, but like he went on to produce a big bunch of big selling albums. But songs I do like are some of the best in their catalog, while the rest is just kind of forgettable. Oh, oh man, oh, I'm gonna get killed for this. Whew. Give it a 5 out of 10 because the songs I like are very,
Wow.
very strong. Otherwise, it'd probably be lower, but because of those other songs are so, so strong, I'm giving it even that. But yeah,
Wow, that's
so
shocking. 5 out of 10.
yeah, I know
Woohoo!
because I like
Wow.
about half of it, so it's just like I don't know. Yeah,
50%, yeah.
yeah.
All right, well, um, I would say the best song on the album by a mile is Midnight Maniac, in my opinion. But I do like Our Love, even though it's a slower song. Out to Lunch ain't bad. I think you kind of ripped on that one. The cover of Ballroom Blitz was great. I like it a lot better than the original version because I pretty much actually heard this version first. I mean,
Okay,
sometimes that
that
makes
makes
a
yeah,
that makes a little bit of a difference.
right.
Sometimes if you hear a song that you like
Yeah,
and then you don't realize till later on that it's a cover,
yeah,
and you hear the cover,
that's
you hear the
true.
original version, you're going, eh. A classic example would be "Smoking in the Boys' Room" by Motley Crue. They brought that song back from the dead.
Yeah,
And
same.
I
Yeah,
like both versions, but the Motley Crue version just had that special charm to it that just, and the video, was classic.
I didn't realize that was a cover at first either. Yeah,
I knew it was a cover because they used to always announce it as such, but I never had heard the Brownsville Station version at that point. And of
right,
course, they let off with "Smoking in the Boys' Room," so that was played everywhere, all over MTV and everything. So you could not help but fall in love with the
right.
song, really. Um, I think I don't know. Hot Stuff to me isn't the greatest. Ready to
Yeah,
Rock,
sure.
kind of lame. You're right. Um, I don't know. But overall, I think the album is definitely one of their strongest overall albums in my take of it. And I'm gonna
Okay,
go ahead and give it a 7.5.
okay.
So there's some stuff that could have been better on it, no doubt. But I think the good really outweighs the bad when you got Midnight Maniac and, like I said, Our Love. Boys Night Out was decent. And I just love the Ballroom Blitz. Now I think the reason why they wanted to call the album the Blitz, and then somehow it got thrown up to them to do the Ballroom Blitz cover.
Oh, okay. So they didn't just specifically name it after the song.
No, I don't think that was how it came down, from what I
Okay.
remember reading up on it back in the day. Because Blitz sounds great, Headhunter, and then you come
Blitz,
up with a
yeah.
word like Blitz, their style of music, how the fast-paced guitar
Yep,
blitzes,
that makes sense. Yeah.
and I always thought it was a great title, and then but you're right, the cover kind of draws it
Right.
too because it looks like she's in a ballroom kind of
Yeah,
with a dress
it
on.
does. It
Yeah,
seemed,
so
yeah, it's weird.
you
You,
figure if you're gonna call it the Blitz, why wouldn't you have some like lightning and thunder or guitar or something
oh,
extremely heavy to match the word Blitz? I don't know. Maybe they did that because of they ended up putting the song on there. I don't know.
oh.
I should have asked Mark when I interviewed him. I'll have to ask him if I ever interview him again.
Interview to ask one question.
Hey, Mark. Yeah.
Okay, bye. See ya.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I'm giving it. I'm giving it a 7.5. It looks like that one was actually reissued by Rock Candy. The only thing I don't like about Rock Candy, yeah, they're great because they remaster them and they
Yeah.
usually put on some bonus material, but the bonus material they usually put on is usually like an alternate version or a live version.
Yeah,
I
sometimes,
wish
yeah.
it had more
like new songs or
access
unreleased.
to
Yeah.
unreleased songs. Yeah, because that would really make it worth the while, especially with the how pricey those things are from Rock Candy. But you do get it remastered, which they've done a great job at remastering a lot of
Oh
these
yeah, they sound
albums.
great.
Yeah, because there's a lot of albums in the 80s that were made like right in the middle of the change of technology before the digital age
Hmm.
that just don't sound as good until they get remastered. They sound even better, you know. So yeah, so there's our take on the Headhunter and the Blitz albums that just for the Krokus seven number 7 and 8, and obviously the next albums we will do are number wow, we're getting up to 9 and 10. Man, hard to believe.
Going quick.
All right, and I just explained for people behind me if you see why I've got the Budweiser stage here.
He's in Toronto right now.
We're rest yeah, I'm outside of it in 50-degree weather. I don't know if 50 degrees transcend to Celsius, but
It's probably like zero. No, zero's I think like 35. It's not
yeah,
zero.
about 20 degrees
Mhm.
or 50, yeah. So anyhow, 20 Celsius. They changed the name of it. Today they made the announcement that the Budweiser stage will
Yeah.
now be known as RBC Amphitheater. Obviously, it's got its start back in 1995 as
Almost.
Molson
Yeah.
Amphitheater, and the first ever concert there was none other than Bryan Adams.
Okay. Oh well,
What a
that's the tie-in.
coincidental.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and long years ago, there used to be the Forum used to sit on that property. So a lot of ties. They made an announcement today that they're going to be making it a indoor. It's going to be a year-round venue
Oh wow.
by the year 2030. So they're going to be doing a lot of. I guess they're going to still have shows going on while they're going to be doing these remodels or upgrading it and updating it or whatever they're doing to get it to become a year-round venue. So it should be interesting over the next 4 years to see 4 or 5 years how it progresses. But it's no longer Budweiser stage, folks, just so you know. Although many
Mhm.
people that have been there over the last 10 years are probably still going to be calling it Budweiser stage, just like
I still I still call
us.
it Molson Amphitheater.
Exactly. Just like us folks that were around back in its initial day and age, we're calling it Molson Amphitheater. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's just a little tie in here. You got anything else you want to share about your guys' stuff coming up on your channel and stuff?
Yeah, but no, I just want to actually add to that Blitz thing. You were probably right because I'm looking at it. Ballroom Blitz was recorded live on the first take in Vancouver. So I think you might be onto something where they were just like, well, you're gonna record Ballroom Blitz now because we need one more song. So just go record this live and that's it. So that's probably what happened, to be honest. It says recorded live on the first take.
Wow.
So you can kind of tell it sounds different than the rest of. You actually listen to it, knowing that you kind of like hear that the sounds a little bit different than it sounds less produced, I guess, because it's live in the studio. So, but yeah, that's actually impressive though, knowing that that was just done in the first take and it actually does sound pretty good. But
Yeah.
yeah, no. So what are we going? What's going on? So next episode on Slogan's Rock and Metal Extravaganza. We're just doing a music hangout on Friday on Halloween
Ooh.
from 6 to 7 p.m. It's just
Uh-huh.
gonna be I think, 9 songs. I'm just gonna be playing. It's gonna be just an hour. Kept it to an hour. 9 songs, Halloween oriented. So there'll be some Alice Cooper in there and some other stuff. So yeah, just hanging out for Halloween for an hour and just playing some music. But then Saturday we're continuing our Rory Gallagher career retrospective. So we're kind of almost wrapped that up. Only got a few more albums to go. But yeah, that's been ongoing for a couple months. These career retrospectives, people that have like 20 albums are long. Well,
Yeah.
and that's doing it every single week, and it seems to take long. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun to do these, right? You kind of go back to these things and kind of see where someone's career progressed and that kind of thing. Or yeah,
Yeah, and you're always
that's
learning. You're always learning something new too
oh yeah,
that
yeah,
you might not have known. You know, it's interesting
yeah,
when you
you
go back
learn,
and look at a lot of stuff.
yeah. Yeah, you like make a lot of connections. Like with I probably when like you said, until actually going and doing this, I
Yeah.
probably didn't realize there was all this Brian Adams connection and all this other stuff. I never really paid too much attention to that. But then you go and research some of the stuff and you find out some interesting information and
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, and then on the main channel here on Rock Show Critique, we just did a Remembering Ace Frehley episode with me and Chris Keebzak. Check that out if you get a chance. We just basically talk a little bit about some of Ace's concerts in Western New York here, and we also give our top five Ace Frehley songs that he had vocals on. So we wanted to give the fans a little something, positive to end it on
Yeah,
there. And other than this Krokus series right now, there's not a lot going on, but stay tuned. We have a lot of things in the works. So,
yeah,
and we're probably going to have you and Logan on again for an episode of something
cool.
down the road here. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
And as always, make sure you tell people about us, subscribe,
yeah.
like our videos. Feel free to comment, and whatever you
Nice
guys.
comments only.
Exactly. All right, sounds good then. Well, thanks for joining us for this episode, and stay tuned for more. Thank you.